Steve, Dennis, nice to have you guys together here. So wanted to jump in and talk about this Quarantine Key virtual race that we've decided to sponsor together. So, Steve, how'd you come up with the idea for it?
They came out with the virtual races. Run Disney was coming out with the virtual races, and basically everything's been shut down. We've all been kind of in our own little quarantine world. And I guess it kind of came up with Chris Bright from our show we're trying to figure out how we could run it together. And then it kind of morphed into, well, why don't we get people from our podcast to run it? And I was like, Brian's a big runner. We met him at Run Disney. Like, let's get him involved. And so I texted you and you said you're into it. And then I started thinking, well, how many other people do we know that, run that either we've met through Run Disney, you and I met at Run Disney over Marathon Weekend. And how could we do this just to reach a bunch of different shows, reach a bunch of us out there that have been in the quarantine world and kind of have a fun time running together over a 5K?
How'd you hook up with Dennis?
Well, Dennis had been on our podcast before quite a while ago off of one of his cruises. And so he's just I followed his podcast. I'm not as deep into Star Wars lore as they are in his show, but it's an amazing podcast. I've really been enjoying the Clone Wars ones that you've come out with, Dennis. Just my youngest son's a huge Clone Wars fan, and I'm slowly trying to catch up with him. I'm way behind him, but I've really enjoyed the episodes there. And then we've just kind of followed each other on Twitter. I know he's a big runner, and so I thought it'd be fun to invite him and his podcast as part of this whole kind of cross-promotional thing.
Dennis, you want to talk a little bit about your podcast?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I've been podcasting about Star Wars for about 4 years now, between two different shows that I've had. And on top of that, I'm a very, very big Disney fan. I've done Disney trips my entire life, whether that was with my family growing up. We did my grandparents' 50th anniversary there. My wife and I had our honeymoon there last year. My wife and I run our first Run Disney events for the Star Wars Rival Run weekend, and done a few cruises lately. We did Alaska last year, and that's what I talked to Steve on his show. I've just been running now for going on about 3 years, and I've been a little disappointed that a lot of the local races have been canceled, but it's for a good reason. And I thought when Steve mentioned this idea, it was a great one, and I'm happy to be a part of it. Brian, how about you? How did you get into running, and what's your experience with racing and Run Disney events?
I got into running probably about 3 or 4 years ago now, just as a way to sort of get healthier and lose some weight, and did some half marathons, decided to bite the bullet and do a marathon. I did my first Run Disney event this past year at Marathon Weekend and just sort of fell in love with it. It was just a lot of fun. It's one of the most fun races I've ever done. So my wife has run some Run Disney events too. And actually I just signed up to be a member of Club Run Disney. So we're all about these events.
So a lot of people are kind of wondered, I've got some feedback as far as like Quarantine K 5K, and we spelled it with a C, didn't we, Brian?
Yes, I think that was in part my fault, but yes.
But I love it because it's kind of an alliteration from Castaway Key 5K. All of us have, and I'm not sure, Dennis, have you been to Castaway Key? Now that I think about that, I know you went to Alaska.
Yeah, my first Disney cruise was a double dip on the Disney Dream at Castaway Cay, and then we had Nassau in between. So I've been to the island twice on the same trip.
And did you run the Castaway Key 5K?
No, I was not a runner then.
Okay.
It's a bit more of a recent development. I wish I had been, because I've been dying to do that 5K.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun run. And I know that, Brian, you get to actually run the Run Disney event. We've got a podcast show coming out eventually here that we recorded with you and Sam about your Run Disney event on Castaway Key as part of Marathon Weekend.
Yeah, and that was a lot of fun to actually leave with a real medal as opposed to the rubber medal is kind of a fun thing. So yeah, no, it's a fun race.
Yeah. So anyways, we thought we'd have a little bit of fun with the alliteration as far as calling it quarantine, since we've all been in quarantine. We've all been kind of on our own little island, I think. Some of our islands are bigger than others, but that's where I think we kind of came up with that C for the quarantine part. And just for all of us who've cruised before, have been on Castaway Key and done that 5K, it's just kind of a fun thing to do. It's low key. It's really easy. You can run it. You can walk it. There's definitely no stress in running it. And that's what I think we wanted to try and get over this week, over Memorial Day weekend, was just to, get a bunch of podcasts like yours, Brian and Dennis. And then we've got the guys from Derek and Doug from Rope Drop Radio, and Joe and Leslie from Disney Deciphered. And then we've got Katie and Lake from MouseGen, and that's a vlog. They do some vlogs over on YouTube. So kind of reached out to those shows and just try to reach as many people as we can to go out and either run or walk or just kind of move through a 5K over Memorial Day weekend and just have a little bit of fun. Brian, what's the overall gist for people then on Memorial Day weekend? What are they going to do? Or what are we hoping they will do?
Yeah, we're hoping that they will get outside, run, walk, crawl, ride your bike, do it all at once, do it over the 3 days, try to do a 5K or at least get outside at a minimum. Take a picture, use the hashtag QuarantineKey5K, quarantine spelled with a C, and then tag your favorite podcasts out of the sponsoring podcast, or tag all the podcasts out of the sponsoring podcast. I know, Steve, you're running a little bit of a contest on your end for folks who tag your podcast. You'll be potentially drawing some winners for some prizes. I think we're going to do the same, and I think Derek and Doug are looking at doing the same kind of thing. But, just get out there and have fun. Use the hashtag, put it in a photo. Be sure to put it on Instagram or Twitter, or post it to one of the pages for the podcast so that we can sort of collect those. But that's the gist.
And then our show is also going to have a Star Wars related giveaway because we are in fact a Star Wars centric podcast.
Yeah, we've got quite a few things that people have donated to us over the years of doing our podcast, and so trying to figure out creative ways to give that back to the listeners of our show, and so we don't really want to make it about winning anything. It's more about just getting out there, having fun, posting the pictures, and trying to just build this whole Disney podcast and Star Wars podcast community up, because there's just some amazing people like you, Brian. I know your show is new, but you guys are just knocking it out of the park. Just some fun shows. And Dennis, you've been around a while doing podcasts as well. And I just want to kind of give a nod to all of us out there that are trying to create these shows during these hard times, but also during the fun times as well. And just acknowledge all our listeners out there as well.
I was going to say, I've participated in a few virtual races recently, and the sense of community that comes with it has been inspiring, and it's been encouraging to get off the couch and get out there and remember that just because all of our favorite vacation spots are closed and our races that we've been training for weeks and months in some cases have been postponed or canceled completely, there's still a community of runners out there, and there's still people that are trying to get out and stay healthy and do something. And it's just one more way to get your mind off the current troubles and have something to work towards and have fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to see all the photos. I think it's going to be great, and it just brings a little bit of that Disney magic at a time when we could all use it, I think.
Okay. Well, then, just as a reminder, the participating shows are the DCL Duo at DCL Duo on social media, the DCL Podcast, which you can tag at DCL Podcast, Disney Deciphered, which is also at Disney Deciphered, MouseGen, at Rope Drop Radio, which is the Rope Drop Radio show, and my podcast, which is Podcast Stardust, and you can find us at Podcast Stardust. And with that, we hope to see all your pictures and can't wait to hear more from you and how your races and events went over Memorial Day weekend.
Have fun, everybody.
Yeah, have fun out there, and we're looking forward to seeing all those pictures as well. So just enjoy it.